morning everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to be back here with you today, and we are going to be painting a King Protea. This beautiful King Protea, in fact, it is the Protea cynaroides, which is the national flower of South Africa, so we are very proud to be painting it today, and I hope you're going to enjoy following along. If you have any comments or any questions, please do pop them in the comment box down below. I usually get my comments quite quickly on YouTube, so I should be able to reply to you timelessly. And please don't forget to like this video and do subscribe if you'd like to see more content from me. Obviously, it's free to watch this video, but if you'd like to buy the corresponding workshop pack, you can shop them on my website, libbybellhome.com. So let's get into it. Alright, so here is my setup once again. I have my Fabriano paper with my sketch on it. I have two brushes in a size 4 and a size 6 size. I've got my eraser, I've got a click eraser, they're the ones that I love, an HB pencil, my glasses, some water, my palette with all my colors on it. You will have your dot card. I've got a cotton cleaning cloth. I'm not going to use that brush. And then I've got a kitty. Do you have your kitty ready? Who's drinking my paint water? And then I've got my piece of carlton roll for dabbing at my paper. So let's go. Alright, so let's begin. I have positioned my painting at an angle that is comfortable for me to paint. Excuse the plaster on my finger, hazards of being a boy mom. And so I'm comfortable now. I'm right-handed, so my brush is going to be following the natural lines of these petals here. We're starting with the petals, the sort of main petals around the crown of this King Protea. And we are going to start by mixing our crimson red lake with our quinacridone rose. So you want quite a weak wash of both of them. And the reason we're mixing them together is because the quinny rose is very pink, but the crimson red lake gives it a bit of just a warmer tone and stops it from being sort of a Barbie pink. Okay, so this is what you kind of want your wash to look like. Maybe add a little bit more water. Okay, we're working with either of our brushes. Basically, I like to use the smaller brush to apply the paint and then the larger brush to spread it out. But either way is absolutely fine. So we've got our brush loaded with paint now, with transparent paint. Now remember, your pink and red pigments are notoriously hard to shift once they're laid down on the paper. So we're going to be working quite fast now. So starting at the top of the first petal, we're going to lay down some color, some nice solid color. We're not going to the edges because we want to spread the paint to the edges. So now I'm wetting my other brush, and I'm going to use a clean brush. It's just got water on it, a little bit of water, not too wet. You can see it wasn't dripping, it was just damp. And we are going to spread that color up to the edges and down. And it's going to leave us with a darker piece in the middle and lighter edges. Remember what I said, working quite quickly. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take your, we're gonna blend down to the base of the petal, but almost to white, okay? Because we still want to come and add a little bit of yellow in there just now. Okay, blending nicely. We don't want this middle bit to be too harsh just yet. We can come back and add more color in, but we're going to be cautious at the beginning. Okay, so now what I want you to do is to remove a little bit of the color with a clean edge of your carlton roll. We're going to press the edges of the petal like this and remove even more of that color. Clean wet brush again, and we're going to blend that back in again. And we're actually going to blend this dark bit gently into the wet, towards the edges, down to the base, down to the base. Okay, also going to remove a little bit of that wet from the base. Clean damp brush again, and we're going to blend that very light, almost white area into the pink of the petal. This is the very first base layer of the first petal, looking good. We almost want this in a streak down here. So we basically just, this is called dragging, basically just moving the paint around. Just want to see something. Moving the paint around on the page for now. Take a little bit away from the edges again. And remember, you must be looking at your reference image, aka my finished painting that you've received in your pack. You must be referring to it because it's your reference image. You must be referring to it all the time. Okay, we want really light edges. They're also going to give the impression that the leaf, the petal is rounded, which it is. Smoothing it out. Okay, this might feel like a challenge, but once you've done it once or twice, it's going to feel a lot easier. Okay, we're going to stop playing with this now. I quite like this elongated triangular piece in the middle here, which is how the actual real petal looks. We're going to come back and add a lot more, and just now we're going to add dark to the tip, and then we're going to add a darker piece to the middle here, almost like a rib going down the middle of the petal. Okay, so now let's repeat this process with this petal, this one, this one, this one, this one. Yeah, so those are the sort of, and some, maybe these two, these are the ones that are sort of the outside petals. We're seeing the outside of them. We're seeing the inside of these, but we're seeing the outside of these petals. They're facing their back to us. So we are going to paint them in a similar manner. Okay, so let's go. Alright, now it's looking a little bit blotchy on your screen. I do think the camera exaggerates the contrast. So don't worry too much about it looking a little bit blotchy here, because we've worked in such transparent colors. It will look a bit blotchy, but as we add in slightly darker layers, that will become less apparent. But I do also think that the camera exaggerates it to a certain extent. Alright, so we've laid down the base layers for these three petals. One thing I always teach in my watercolor classes is when we are painting flowers, or anything really, but flowers are a good example. When we are painting flowers, when we take on a 5-petaled flower, for example, we paint the first petal, and then do we paint the petal next to it? No, we don't. We skip a petal and we paint the next petal, because watercolor obviously bleeds and it doesn't need much water to bleed into the next petal. So for example, this was the first petal I painted. I did paint this one second, but this one had been given a chance to dry. Then after that one, I painted this one. I didn't paint this one straight after that one, because these two layers will bleed into each other. And this is especially important as you get further on in your painting, to not let those layers bleed into each other. Okay, I'm going to remove a little bit of color here. You can see that sometimes when you press with the carlton roll, it gives you a lovely light finish. So it hasn't removed all the color there, obviously, but it has removed enough to give me sort of a really light wash that I might not have been able to achieve had I literally just laid down the paint and blended it, unless I was working in super, super light washes. So we're going to blend this down again. This petal has slightly less of the white edges. We will still clean out a bit, but it's got slightly less of it. It tends to go quite dark towards the edges. Okay, so clean piece of carlton roll. Press it to the side. Look at that lovely highlight that it gives you. I love to lift color out with a piece of carlton roll. Also, for me, carlton roll does work the best. I mean, you can use a paper napkin, you can sort of use other drying tools, but for me, kitchen roll, carlton roll specifically, works the best, and it's very cheap. You get it anywhere. Okay, more blending. Don't feel frustrated that your painting isn't looking like much yet, I also always tell everyone, and it's the absolute truth, that there is no painting that I've ever completed at which it at some point does not look like a kiddie's painting. like one of my 4-year-old's paintings, shame, even though his paintings are quite good. But you have to allow yourself to move through the initial stages and not get stressed and not feel like it's looking terrible. Most paintings will look not great at some point. So you have to push past that and carry on with it and not get up and get frustrated and put it away in a drawer. You have to push past the point at which you feel it's not looking great, because after that is when the magic happens. Okay, more blending. Now, these petals, you obviously can't see the reference image that I am working from. You are working from your reference image, which is what I want. I don't want you to be confused by a second image. So what I will tell you is that the image that I'm looking at, there is yellow at the base of all these petals. A really, really tiny bit of greeny yellow, sort of lime greeny yellow. So I want this to be quite light at the base here. I might actually come and try and lift a bit of this color out just now so that we can get a cleaner yellow in there. Lovely light washes, very delicate. We can add a little bit more color in here. And blend to get that nice smooth gradient that we would naturally find on a Protea petal in nature. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to lift out some of the pink paint here. So I've got a clean brush, I've loaded it with quite a lot of water, and I'm going to scrub it like I'm scrubbing the dishes. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Use your brush to scrub. This works a lot better with green. It's a much more forgiving pigment. But we're going to press hard, and as you can see, we've lifted out quite a lot of color. So that will be ready just now to add some yellow in, and then we're going to blend the yellow into the pink and get a beautiful gradient. Okay, really don't stress about any blotchiness at the moment. That will clear up naturally just now when we put in a little bit of darker, heavier color. Okay. All right. This petal is a little bit light. I'm going to add a little bit more color in. I really, really would love feedback on these videos, so you're even welcome to comment halfway through or at the beginning and put your comment in the comment box down below and let me know. You can even say I'm 10 minutes in and I'm feeling this, or I'm 30 minutes in and I'm finally feeling like I'm getting somewhere. So yes, please do share your feedback with me. You can even share a comment at the beginning, comment in the middle, comment at the end. All right, so this petal is, if the Protea is facing up, if this is up to the sun, this petal here has really got some shadow cast on it. So we're going to end up darkening that quite a bit, but we'll leave that initial layer to dry for now. All right, let's move on to these two and potentially this one and maybe this one. All right, I have moved you over a little bit. This is an easier angle for me to paint it. I'm not painting around the camera. So we are going to be doing the back of this petal. We actually see half of it. We see a little bit of the front inside and we see the back. So we're carrying on with our technique of laying down color pretty much in the middle and blending to the outside. We are still using our wash of crimson and quinacridone rose, Quinny Rose. And this petal is slightly more uniform, and we're actually going to let it dry like that. We can take out a little bit from the front of the petal. There we go, a little bit of a highlight. And I'm going to add a tiny bit more to sort of the back. And then we're going to let that dry, and we will add quite a bit more dark color in. Now what I've done is I've realized that I didn't put burnt umber on my palette. Luckily it's on yours, but I hadn't put my burnt umber, and it was actually the color I decided on first, but then I realized that I hadn't added it to my plate, so I've added it now. So there's my burnt umber, so we're going to be using that shortly. Alright, so these petals we've painted using a formula, applying slightly darker color to the middle and then blending it out to the edges. Alright, so now these petals here, these are definitely darker. These ones here are actually catching the light. That's the sunlight that's coming from the top. Okay, as this King Protea shows its open face to the sun. These ones are all catching the light. So actually the edges of these petals, sunlight is actually shining through them from the front. So these ones down below now are not catching any light. So we are going to add the tiniest dot of burnt umber to our mix. You will probably need to be mixing more of your Quinny Rose and your Crimson Red Lake mix. You see I've finished mine now. So we're going to make another mix of it. Tiny bits of color, lots of water. And then to that we're going to be adding the smallest amount of burnt umber. Now that burnt umber is going to act like, almost like a shadow. So as you can see here, this is given it, it's obviously darkened the color, and it's given it a brown tinge, which is going to act like the absence of light. So when you are a scuba diver and you descend down, as you go you lose sight of different colors, and the first color you lose sight of is red. So in the absence of light you cannot see red. So in the absence of direct sunlight on our Protea, we are going to tone down the red, and we're doing that with brown, not with black. I'm not against using black in paintings, but I don't like to use it to create shadows most of the time. Sometimes we do, but most of the time we don't. All right, let's get you into focus. Okay, we're going to be starting with this very thin petal. Very, very thin petal. We can only see a little bit of it, and it is definitely in the shadows. And we're going to lay down some of our transparent, still transparent but darker color. We're going to lay it down on the edge, and we are going to blend it slightly. We are working with tiny detail here. I hope you are wearing your glasses or are quite close to your paper. And we're going to use the very tip of our brush. The brushes that you are working with are Bianco's. I'm working with Cum brushes, but you are working with Bianco's, and they have very, very sharp points. So you are working just with the tip of your brush, and you are going to fill in that little area, almost like a paint by numbers. You're going to fill that area in and spread that paint all around, and automatically we have a petal that is now sitting down underneath the Protea, and it is in the shadows. All right, so that was your warm-up. Right, so any detail that you are looking at on your Protea, any fine details, you are not going to be adding them in now. Those come later. So these dark tips of these Protea petals, we are only going to add them in later. So we are going to use the same principle now by applying dark color to the center of the petal, and we're going to spread it outwards. Okay, too much water on my brush, so I've dried it off again. we want these petals to end up darker than the ones above them. And as you can see, that's already happening. This petal is basically darker than that one. Okay, let's carry on with this technique. Get your brush loaded up with color, and we are going to apply the same technique to most of these petals that make up the base of the Protea. We're adding in quite a lot of color. We're coming with our clean, damp brush, and we are spreading it out towards the edges. Working quite fast. Remember, red, all the warm tones, reds, oranges, pinks, browns, they are high staining pigments, and if you don't work fast, you will get a distinct waterline at the edge of where you have laid the paint down. Try and keep most of that color in the middle. Clean your blending brush if you need to, whichever size you're using to blend. Generally it's the bigger one. If you need to press some color out, use your carlton roll, press color out of the sides, and blend again. So for anyone who thought that watercolor was about laying color down and leaving it there, that's not the case at all. You lay the color down and then you work with it. You work it here and you work it there, and you get it to do exactly what you want it to do. That's certainly the way I paint. It is not it's not the way a lot of watercolorists work, but it's the way that I work, and it must be how I get so much of my detail in, because I never let the water do its own thing. I never let the water run and spread over the page. I control where the paint and the water go. Alright, we are continuing with the lower petals of our King Protea, and we are making them slightly darker than the ones above. These ones tend to be a little bit darker towards the base, unlike these top ones that are lighter towards the base. So where the petal connects to the petal below, most of them seem to darken a bit. Carrying on with our blending, getting that color right up to the edges, but making sure we still keep a little bit of a lighter area towards the edge of the petals. This looks really, really harsh when I look at my screen, but on my actual painting, it's definitely just a lot softer. The blend is a lot softer, so hopefully the final result of the video shows it a bit better. I think I had the same issue with my Bee Eater video, and then when I'd actually taken the videos onto my iMac and put them into the actual YouTube video and exported it, it ended up looking sort of more like the actual image does, the actual painting does. Right, we're carrying on. The petals are actually getting gradually darker, so we're actually going to add even more brown into our mix, so a tiny bit more. You see now how the amount of paint on your dot card is actually a huge amount of paint, because we use the tiniest amount, for our painting per petal. Excuse the inverter beeping, we are having some power issues. Okay, an even darker pinky brown now, and we are going to carry on with all these lower petals, letting them get gradually darker and darker as they recede underneath or to the base and the stem of the Protea. So I disagree with the fact that adding black deadens a painting. I definitely disagree with that. But I do think there is merit to using colour for shadows rather than using black. So say we had added black in to this painting, to this mix of Crimson Red Lake and Quinacridone Rose, we definitely would have got a duller colour than we're getting now. The colour that I can see, and hopefully you can see as well here, is definitely still a rich colour. Even though it's petals in shadow, the colour is still rich. Okay, using our same formula, we haven't deviated. We're still putting colour in the middle of the petal and spreading it to the outside edges with a clean, damp brush. Still working quickly. We don't want any harsh lines, harsh dried watercolor lines. Alright, we're going to be moving on to the inside of these curved petals on the other side of the Protea bowl. So we've been working on all of these on this side closest to us. We are seeing the backs of them. We are seeing, this is all essentially shadow because the light is coming in and it's shining on the front of this petal, and we are seeing the back. So we've essentially been painting in shadow here and we are painting in color here now. So we're using a new mix of pink and red, our Quinacridone Rose and our Crimson Red Lake. So you're going to do another mix of them. It can be slightly stronger. Let's make a slightly more opaque mix. Still using the red to take the edge off that purpley pink. Okay, so we're working with quite a bit of a brighter color now. I do still want to add a tiny bit of brown, the tiniest amount. I feel it gives a little bit of depth. Okay, that's too much. Let's add more of our red in and more of our rose, because we've still got a bright color, but it's not a kitsch color. So we've added in a bit of the brown so that it's not bright and kitsch. We want a muted pink. All right, let's go. We've got our one brush loaded with color, all right, not that you can see it, but loaded with color. And we've got our other brush damp and clean and ready to blend. All right, so let's start with the inside of this one. It appears to be almost one of the darkest. And we're going to carefully fill that color in. You know what, I'm going to zoom you in. We are going to carefully fill this color in. This is why I need glasses now. Right to the tip. Fill that color in. And we're going to blend it lighter in the middle and keep the shadows on the sides. Okay, you're going to be cleaning your brush as well so that your damp brush doesn't get loaded with color, which it will do because it will pick up color from your page. Okay, now this is tricky. We're going to have to paint around. Sorry, I just need it in shadow quickly. Yeah, we're going to have to paint around these. I think they are sepals on a Protea. A Protea is quite interesting because these are actually technically not called petals. They're actually bracts. But for the sake of our lesson, we're going to refer to them as petals. Oopsie, I painted over that one. Doesn't matter. Let's just dab it out. Okay, so I like to paint around these. I have given you white gouache on your palette. You will see. So worst case scenario, if you're going to paint over these right to the edge of this line, That's okay. You can add these back in with your white gouache at the end. I will talk about that more when we get to it, but I use white gouache. I don't use white watercolor. It feels absolutely useless. Watercolor is just way too weak in white. So I use gouache, which works very, very well. Or you can use a white pen. I often use an inky white pen. I've got a few from P&A. They work very well for adding in fine details at the end that you potentially maybe wouldn't be bothered to paint around. I normally am bothered, but if you can't be bothered, or if you struggle with such tiny detail, don't stress. I've given you the white gouache and it's there for you to use at the very end if you need to add them back in. Alright, so I've added a bit more colour into the sides. So basically what's happening here on this little bract or petal is that we've got a petal that has curved edges. So these curved edges are curling in, and they are casting a shadow on the inside of the petal, whereas the light is falling in the middle here. Right, so the same applies to this petal, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one also. So I'm going to time lapse it now, and I'm going to paint all of these in using the same principle, applying color from the tip down both sides and blending light in the middle to lighter down below where it actually connects to the center of the Protea. All right, how is everybody keeping up? I hope that this is proving to be easier than you had imagined so far. Please do let me know your comments down below. We are carrying on with these bracts or petals at the back, and we are using the same formula to fill in dark color and spread it outwards. So by now you should be used to this technique of laying down the color and essentially using your paper as your palette, because it kind of holds your paint for you, obviously. Oh, often get hairs and fibers from the plate. I find if I leave my palette uncovered and I get up and go and do something, or I leave my painting for a few days and I come back and I start painting again, a lot of fibers and obviously just dust settle onto the palette. So it's a good idea to just pop it in a drawer or put something over it, and then it stops that from happening. Okay, so we're still working quickly. I mean, we're working with pink and red pigment. You know, I sometimes try to avoid this when I teach watercolor classes, just because I know it is slightly harder. You're going to see when we get to the green leaves how much easier it is to move paint around. For example, with green, you could leave your painting for a year. You could put this away in a drawer, and in a year's time you could come back and you could spread your green around what is existing on the page. So you could come and you could manipulate the paint on the page with a bit of water on a wet brush. But this pink and red, you are going to really struggle to move it once it's done its initial staining. So that's why we still work quite nice and fast with this. You can see I'm swapping brushes all the time. The brush loaded with paint to the clean damp brush. I'm also cleaning my clean damp brush in water all the time to ensure that it stays damp and clean. Otherwise, as you can see, it just absorbs the color from the page, and then next thing you know, you're using a brush that's actually got paint on it, and it's not damp and clean anymore. It's damp and loaded with paint. Okay, so the whole time what I'm doing is I'm putting color in and I'm spreading it around, and then as I spread it, the area gets lighter again, so I go back in and I add a bit more color. Now, this is how we work with watercolor, because you can go lighter with lifting and certain techniques, but basically with watercolor we go from very light layers and we work darker. With gouache, you tend to add in the very darkest layers of paint and then you add in lighter layers. So it's almost opposite to how people generally work with gouache. I don't work with gouache too much. I do like it, but naturally I'm obviously really a watercolor artist. Gouache is actually just a thicker form of watercolor. It's a water-based paint as well. I should drop in here a hint, a tip off, that I think I'm going to be doing a sweet pea study next. So then we'll have 3 in the collection. We'll have the Bee Eater, the King Protea, and a beautiful sweet pea, which I think a lot of people would like to paint with me. Okay, so here I've gone a bit rogue on the sepals because I want to work faster with the pigment. And if I faff around with those, I might actually end up getting a really blotchy petal. So I'm trying to be careful, but you see I've gone right over that one. So that is where our white gouache or our white pen is going to come in handy a little bit later. So remember what I said earlier, I can't quite remember if I finished the tangent that I went on, to say that if you're looking at your petal now, obviously I'm still painting this, so I haven't seen the finished product yet. You've now seen the finished product, you've got it in front of you, but I haven't seen it yet. Mine is still coming. Sorry, excuse my thumb. But yeah, so any detail that's on top of this now that you will be seeing, I'm only going to add in obviously at a later stage. So this is where you keep the faith and you know that the painting that we're doing now is still the underpainting. The detail is only coming later. And also what you're seeing me do now is you're seeing me be very cautious with how much dark I'm putting in. But as the painting progresses, I will probably come back and put quite a lot of dark in on the dark areas. But like I said from the beginning, you can't really go lighter most of the time. So we start light and we work our way darker, and that way we avoid making what would potentially be an irreversible mistake, or not mistake, but you know, you wouldn't achieve your desired result and your painting wouldn't end up looking either like mine or how you would want it to look, which would be, you know, soft colors, nice gradients between the light and the dark. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in because I want to show you that over here, I'm going to show you in a second. Alright, so I've zoomed right in because I want to show you over here, I have had some watercolor bleed into a section that is going to be painted a bit lighter later. So if I was going to paint this section black, I wouldn't really worry about this, but I don't want these little bleeds to show actually. So I've got a clean damp brush here and I'm going to scrub along this edge. Scrub with my clean damp brush, being quite neat about it, because if I go over into the petal, it's going to take that color out too, or it's certainly going to blur it or cause a little white spot. Okay, so rub, let the water work in there a little bit into those fibers, then carlton roll and press nice and hard. And as you can see, let's wait for it to focus again, we've managed to clean out most of those little errors there. So that is what's really nice about cleaning and lifting. Alright, so I'm carrying on with my darker inside areas of some of these bracts or leaves, petals. Working really carefully, getting nice sharp edges. and blending down to lighter color. Okay, that's some really lovely blending. I'm happy with that. So in case you are skipping ahead, what we can start doing is start to fill in very light color on these folds. This is where the petal folds forward, folds forward, folds forward. And so these are actually a really, really light pink color. So basically we're going to use our same mix, but we are going to use a super, super transparent mix of it. So you take a little bit of color, and I mean, this is kind of what we're working with. That's how transparent it is. Okay, have you got this? That's how transparent it is. Right, and we are going to make sure we don't have too much paint on our brush because we don't want to bleed into our painted area. We can add a little bit more color in. Like I said, always better to go in lighter and be more hesitant, and then we can always go darker after that. Too much water in here. Too much water. Go back with a slightly drier brush, and we are basically just going to fill in these little folds. We may come back to them later. A painting is a living, breathing thing, so we may look at this later once we've darkened other areas and say, these folds are way too light, we can't even see them, let's go and make them darker. But for now, this is the color that we are going for. Really soft and light. And actually, these Protea bracts, if you've ever seen a Protea in real life or touched one, they are actually quite fluffy. They're covered in fine, fine hairs. So the lightness of this pink color almost gives the illusion of really soft, fluffy petals. If you know Proteas, you will know what I'm talking about. So any darker color might make the leaf look a bit hard and harsh, so we're going in so light so that it looks lovely and delicate and potentially even soft and fluffy. Okay, so we're just filling all of those in for now. Potentially we may be revisiting them later. Now this little section here actually refried my brain again. I had to really look closely at my reference image to see if this was an actual petal on the outside of this one, or if it is indeed the inside of this petal, which it is. This is the inside. So we are going to paint that nice and dark because that is in shadow and it's folded inside the Protea. One thing to remember, which will become more apparent as we paint on, is that I once read this, and now also I'm a believer of it, that great contrast often makes a painting really beautiful. So great contrast adds to or creates beauty. Which is really interesting because a lot of the time I'm going for really soft blends and soft colors, nothing too harsh or dark. And I learned that you need to add high contrast. So as we progress with the painting, certain areas we will make them darker and darker, and you will see that the flower begins to sort of pop off the page as we add, the darker sections in. So already your Protea should be looking like something good, something that you're proud of. I'm going to finish up this petal, and I'm going to do a few touches on these which I will put on time lapse. Then I'm going to scan this in as the next step in our step-by-step instructions, and then we are going to start on some of the leaves. So two of the things I've decided to do is slightly darken the outside light pink bits, like I said, slightly darken them from the tip down, okay? So you've got quite a light wash of paint, but we're adding a second layer, so it's going to add a bit of, slightly darker tone of this color to the tip, okay? So we just want a bit of blending there. It's often good to step away from your painting and then look back, come and look at it with fresh eyes. Really a good idea to get up and make a cup of tea, go and stand outside a bit. That often helps. Also just to have a break, give your eyes a break. So I came back and I saw that these needed to be darkened from the tip down. So we're adding the color and blending down to lighter, and already you can see that gives a better illusion of the fold as the leaf curls in. But always better to be slightly more cautious at the beginning, certainly with botanical art and the way that I paint. Definitely we go in slightly more carefully always at the start. Okay, too much dark. I still want to retain that nice gradient, that nice blend. Then the second thing that I want to do is add a bit of definition back into these petals that have their backs to us. So we're going to add pretty translucent color, but because it's a second layer, it's going to go darker quickly. We're going to add that in, and we're going to work the edges in like that. So we're going to add a sort of streak in, and we're going to blend the edges. Okay, and basically what I'm doing is I'm just darkening what we've already done. I'm kind of reinforcing the work that we've already done. I'm working quicker this time because we've already laid down that beautiful foundation for this. And so, as you can see, it's not taking as much work to work it in as when we did the first layer on these petals. It's almost like once you've put in the hard yards, then everything else afterwards comes a bit easier. As you can see, I'm working in real time now, but I'm working really fast to get these bits blended in. Flicking between two brushes the whole time. I've got two brushes in my hand and I'm flicking between the clean one and the one loaded with paint. And the clean one, well, that's the paint one, and then here's the clean one. And the one loaded with paint. And here comes the clean one for blending. Loaded with paint, get that color in there and blend out those edges. Okay, you definitely do not have to work as fast as me, but this, with lots of painting, this is probably how fast you would get to it. Once you know what to do, you know where to put the color, you have confidence in your brushes, confidence in the paint mix that you've got on your brush. Sometimes I mix paint and I bring it to the page, and when I put it on the page I think, oh dear, that is way too dark, or that's way too thick, or my brush is too dry, so naturally these are things that just start to become easier and more natural as you paint more. So do not despair if you are not painting as fast as me. And that's what's nice about having a video, is that you get to pause and rewind, or just pause and fill in the section, and then when you're done, when you're feeling good about it, then you can press play again. And obviously you can come back to this video. I think this is really a wonderful forum, a wonderful way of teaching. I've obviously, before my BE course, only ever done workshops in like live workshops, in person. But I see the huge benefit to doing them like this now. Sorry guys, my thumb, it's really quite a sore injury. Definitely doesn't look very nice. Okay, so even these ones we're going in for a third time now. Whoops. Okay, third time. Really getting a nice bit of colour in there. This needs to be filled in behind here. This colour. Alright, now we're actually gonna be able to go for a streak up the back, up the sort of spine of these bracts, of these petals. So you want to make sure that your streak is curving with the curve of the petal. We will still blend it in at the base, but there is actually a defined line there. You've been seeing this all along. This is now obviously new to me, but you've been seeing this on your reference image all along. So if you can imagine, everything that you've been doing up until now has been these base layers. Now we're adding in these little spines of the Protea bracts. I have no doubt that these will become darker again later. Okay, just remember to curve them. If you are attempting another painting after you've finished my painting, you've done your drawing and you are ready to go. There's certain things you don't draw in, which would be these exact sort of spines of the, well, they're not spines, but it runs like a spine up the back of the Protea petal. So the last thing you want is for it to be straight, and it will not give the illusion that your petals are curving. This petal could have potentially been a little bit darker painted in, so I might come and darken it just now. In South Africa, just now means later, for anyone who's watching from overseas. Alright, so I'm happy with that for now. This is going now to be scanned to show that this is the step 2 that we finished with, and then we are going to move on to leaves and have a breather from the flower head, which is always nice. All right, we are now going to be starting on the leaves. Luna is here to say hello. So this means that we're going to be mixing our own green. So I've cleaned a little bit off my palette there where I was mixing the pink, and we are going to be starting by wetting the green dot, yours on your dot card, mine on my palette, and bringing quite a lot of this deep green onto the middle of our palette. Okay, we want to add some water in. We need quite a watery mix of it. This is 100% not the color that we are going for, so I'm going to teach you to mix the correct green. Okay, so we're also adding in a significant amount of the yellow ochre. Now these two together make a beautiful green. Okay, so we've got that, but I would like it to be slightly warmer. So we are going to be mixing in a touch of our Crimson Red Lake. Okay, do as I do and not as I say, because look what I've done, look how dirty I've made my dot there. But what you can do is you can actually just wipe it off with your carlton roll, a separate piece. You can just wipe off that green that you've now put onto your yellow ochre. Okay, so this is kind of the green that we're going for. It's a combination of deep green, yellow ochre, and Crimson Red Lake. And we've got quite a nice green here. I do think, actually, when I look at it again, we would like to make it a little bit of a deeper green. I am tempted to add a bit more red. I wonder. See, what often happens is we add color and then it goes way, it's got a very different wrong color again, and we can just add back in again. This is looking quite good. I think it's hard to tell. I think let's go with a little bit more Red Lake, just a touch. Yeah, that's a bit deeper. Yeah, okay, cool. This is more what we're looking for. It's kind of a dirtier green, but That is looking good. All right, we've mixed quite a nice amount. I've got thick paint on my brush now. So let's get started on our first leaf. Okay. And we are going to be starting on this leaf over here, the one that is coming out from the left side of the Protea, the base of the Protea. We are going to be turning our page around, and this is something that I always teach in my classes as well. I really, really want you to treat your page like a turntable. That is because when we use the point of our brush, we never want to be using it behind us or to this side. We want to be using it this side, where the point of the brush creates a nice fine edge. Okay. Excuse my jersey in the way, it's very cold here. Okay, so we're going to be starting at the base, the bottommost point of this leaf, which is the darkest point, and we are going to be putting in solid color. Solid color. Okay, now we're going to use our clean damp brush and we are going to spread our paint. Try and keep in the lines, unlike me. Don't fear to just extend the leaf if you do go out the lines. I will probably come and clean that up, even though that's going on to the next leaf, so it doesn't actually matter. But say you go out of the lines here, just don't worry to actually extend, the edge of the leaf out a little bit further. No one will know. Okay, now we're adding a little bit of dark in where the leaf curves at the top, and we're going to spread it back down and blend. Add a bit more dark back in just now, and I may do a yellow glaze over these leaves at the end. We'll have a look at how they dry. Alright. Don't fiddle too much. Leave the central leaf vein open if you can. If you can't, it's not a train smash. We can lift green out of the page quite nicely. So, if possible, these are quite thick veins, so if possible, let's see if we can leave that open, because they are yellow. We fill those in with yellow at the end. Okay, same thing on the other side here. Very carefully, with your brush that is loaded with color, we are going to lay down thick color here. Keep that leaf vein open if possible. This is always when I forget to breathe. And clean damp brush, and we're going to blend that upwards. Whoop. Alright, that's looking good. Let's neaten the leaf vein. We can of course do that later, but we can do it now as well. Might as well. All right, that's looking good. We can let that settle and dry now. Okay, I'm not gonna fiddle too much. All right, I have added a little bit of red into my mix, a tiny bit of the Crimson Red Lake, just to give the leaves a slightly earthier feel. And now we are starting on our next leaf. And we're doing the same thing. We're applying nice, thick, opaque color. This always feels like skipping a few steps ahead, even though it's not. But it's quite satisfying to be able to lay down quite thick color and get a result quite quickly, rather than the very sensitive layering that we have been doing on the pink petals. Okay, clean brush. Let's spread some of this paint upwards. And a nice gentle blend. So basically, what we're doing here, gently blending, you know, it's basically just really repetitive brush strokes to fill in the area that you are painting. So what I always say in my workshops as well is that the level of detail that you get, or that you end up putting into your painting, that is just going to be personal preference. So for example, with the bee eater workshop with the bird, at the end when the feathers were all painted and it was time to add in pencil detail over the top, whether you put 100 little pencil lines onto one feather or 10 is totally personal preference. It has to do with how patient you are, how quickly you want to finish something. Is it a commission and you need to finish it for a client and they're waiting for it, so you only have time to do fewer pencil strokes or lines? Or is it, you know, is it so therapeutic for you that you love it and you end up doing loads of lines, you know, many more than are necessarily necessary? So that is personal preference. So what you see me doing here, blending and blending and adding color and blending, you could do this process once, or you could do it 10 times for the same leaf. That is going to be personal preference, and that is going to be, you know, not necessarily how you what you want the results to be, because everybody wants their leaves, you know, everyone wants their painting to look as good as it can at the end, but it will depend on, you know, your time. I know most people who are going to be painting these workshop packs are not necessarily practicing artists. Some are, which is always wonderful. It's always wonderful to know that there are other artists who would like to learn from me and learn my little tips and tricks, because even if you are a practicing watercolor artist, you obviously, most artists paint in sort of different ways to each other, because we've found ways of doing things over the years that we've been painting. So it's wonderful that other artists also want to learn from you. But I do think the majority of people who will be painting these workshop packs are probably not practicing artists. So then again, you know, do you have to finish off because it's time to go to bed, because you've got a full day of work tomorrow and the doctor's surgery, or as a tennis coach or something like that? So really, the instructions that I give will be to paint exactly as I paint, but I also really want for everybody to make these paintings their own. The reason I'm teaching you is so that you can have the confidence and the skill set to be able to take on your own paintings. Kitty, please don't climb up my jeans. That will be so sore. Kitty is in the habit of using his claws to climb up my jeans. And he just put his little paws on either side of my leg now, so I knew it was about to happen. So I want you to have the confidence to say, I've painted a Protea. Yes, so I can paint a Protea, but I can probably also paint a sweet pea, because I know how to blend on a petal, and I know how to lay down color and spread it out on a leaf, and I know how to lift veins out of a leaf. So I don't want you to go away from this watercolor workshop saying, I can paint in watercolor, but I can only paint a King Protea. That's absolutely not the point. The point is to equip you with the confidence and the skills to create your own paintings after this, unless you are literally just doing this for some rest and relaxation, you know, in that case, what you take away from it will be up to you. But I really do want for you to learn something, and I think that is what a lot of people say when they walk out of my courses at the end of the day. They say thank you for the day, thank you for the lesson. I learned so much, and that's probably the best thing I can hear. Obviously, that I want people to enjoy themselves, but as well. But for people to walk out of my class and say I learned so much from you today, that makes me feel like the money spent, whether it's on a workshop pack or on a physical workshop where you come and sit with me for 3 hours and I teach you and you have a cup of coffee and you get all your materials and everything. I want it to be worth it to you, and I think that especially if it's something that you take away from it, skills and confidence, then that would make your money feel so much more worth it. So we're using our same formula to paint these leaves. We're starting at the base with the darker color and we're spreading it up to the tip of the leaf with the lighter, getting lighter as it gets towards the tip of the leaf. One of the reasons for this is that the head of the Protea actually casts a shadow down on the stem and onto most of the leaves at the base. So that is what is allowing us to almost paint with a formula. I basically paint with a formula anyway. I do tell the attendees of my workshops that they needed to bring their calculators because it's actually more like a maths lesson. I'm joking, of course, but I definitely paint using a formula. I'm trying to see what I did here now. Using a formula. I suppose it's the style I've developed over the years, also working for clients. I'm often working to deadlines, and so you kind of develop, first of all, you develop a way of seeing things and then executing the painting quickly, because you can't afford to faff and always figure new things out. So that's why sometimes when I do have the opportunity to really paint at my own pace, then it's quite an unusual feeling. I tend to be a bit freer with the style of the painting. So this brush looks like it just got chewed. I got up for about 20 minutes and it looks like my brush has been chewed. Seems to be okay now. So we're really painting with a bit of a formula with these leaves. I will obviously show you where there are some areas that are dark because of a leaf curling or something like that. So for example, behind this folded leaf, it would probably be darker behind it, probably be quite a bit darker there. So I'm just going to start with my blending, from the color from the base to the tip, and then we can always come back and add in some shadows at a later stage. But for now, we're going to carry on with our formula. So if you have any questions, I generally get YouTube notifications. Sometimes I don't, but mostly I do, which means that I might, depending on obviously what time of the day it is, but I might get your question immediately while you are painting. So if you have a question, if you're watching this now and you're thinking, hang on, why did she do that? Or did I miss something? Or what color are we working with? Are we still working with the same color, or should we have changed colors? Which brush do I use? Any questions you have, you're welcome to pop them in the question box, and hopefully I might actually get to them immediately, because we have sold some of these sets internationally. So it might be, you might be painting in the morning in the States and it might be our nighttime, in which case I might get the message and I might be able to respond immediately, in which case you'd get an immediate answer for your question. So please, if you're in the middle of painting and you have a question, really pop it in the question box down below, because I think that chances are someone else might have had the same question, and then when they are painting or when they go down to leave their comment, they see, oh, someone's already asked ask this question and they've got an immediate answer. So please don't be shy to ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question, really. The more questions, the better. So really, you can ask me the simplest thing. Which brush were you using when you painted that part? You know, what did you do during that time-lapse part? What did you do that made it look like this? So, you know, remember that I paint, a lot of the time I paint almost subconsciously because, you know, I do this all day, every day, and for many years now. So there's certain things that I would just do and potentially not explain. I'm trying to explain everything as I go along, but if I don't, and if I miss something, and if you have a question, please do not be shy to ask. It will be wonderful to have more of like a forum on YouTube. I think it will be better for that because Instagram doesn't really present an actual forum for teaching or for answering questions. So I'm happy to answer them here. I think it will be a good opportunity to answer questions that people have maybe had for a while if you followed me on Instagram for a while. All right, so you've been following on now, and we've been employing the same tactic. We have been painting the base of the stems dark and blending up towards the tip of the leaf. But now, as you can see, this leaf is behind the leaf above it. So naturally, this leaf will be casting a shadow on this leaf. So we're coming with our same mix of green. You might have had to mix again by now because you might have run out of green. I had to mix some more. Which, by the way, is not a bad thing if the color is not exactly the same as the first time, because in nature, the leaves would vary in color anyway. All right, so what I've done is I've laid a little bit of the dark color at the top edge of this leaf here, and that is going to create the effect of a shadow from falling from the leaf above onto this leaf below or behind. All right, so we're just going to blend this all. We will take a lot of that color away, but then we can go and put some back in there as well. But let's get a nice smooth blend for the first layer, for the under layer. A good smooth blend, nice gradation. This video is very different because the bee eater one I filmed while the boys were at school, but obviously the boys are on holiday, so you will probably hear happy little noises in the background whilst they play. Alright, so we've taken quite a lot of the color out of there, but already on your screen you will see that looks like a shadow being cast from the leaf above. So we're just going to add a bit more in and blend again. Alright, clean damp brush, same principle. So these techniques you should really be getting used to by now, and I think hopefully they'll come more naturally to you when you take on another watercolor painting after this one. Okay, we can lift color out of there later, so don't stress with the green if you've gone in too dark. We can lift color out of all of these areas. In fact, we're going to be lifting the leaf veins out of it, so we're going to probably go back into areas like this and put color back in again. We've dragged so much color out of this area, we're going to put color back in again, and that is going to allow us at a later stage to lift out clean white leaf veins. Just now the birds are going crazy today. It's winter in South Africa, it's winter in the Lowveld, but we've got some proper sunshine today, and I think the birds are just loving it. Listen to them chatting away. Very sweet. I wonder what they're saying. All right, now you'll notice this part is a lot lighter. It's underneath of the leaf. So it's a lot lighter than the rest of the leaf. So we're just going to come in with a very light wash to fill in this area. Very light. Fixing our little error here. And if you think you've gone in too dark, you can either wet the whole area and dab it out with your carlton roll, or while it's still wet now, you can dab it lighter. I think that we're still going to darken. Some fibers stuck on here. I think we're going to still darken behind here. So don't worry to go too white light on this part. Sorry, I'm just editing some little bits. At the end, when the painting is finished, I often sort of go around the edges, just cleaning up the edges with my damp clean brush and my carlton roll. So yeah, sometimes if you have those little bits where it's overflowed or whatever, don't worry about that. Potentially just leave it till the end, and then we come and do a really good overall cleanup. Okay. All right. Yeah, the area behind will definitely go a little bit darker. I'm hesitant to do it now. I don't want the dark to flow into this light part. So at the end, what we're also going to do is we're going to take the tip of our brush and we're going to do a very thin yellowy red line around some parts of some of the leaves. Because often when Protea leaves, well, Proteas actually do have that sort of very thin coloured edge, yellowy, reddy, orange coloured edge. You can probably see it on your reference image now. I can only see it on my reference image here, but not on my painting yet, obviously. So we will come and do that at the end, but that will sort of be optional. If you're happy with your picture before that, then that's 100%. Okay, this edge is too dark. I would like to lighten it a bit, so I'm going to actually just go in with a clean damp brush, pretty much right over it like this, and I'm going to press it out. Okay, and then you can go neaten up the edges a bit. You leave it a bit because this area is now wet, obviously, but I just saw that harsh dark edge and it didn't look good, so we just removed it. There are multiple reasons, but this is one of the reasons why I use the Fabriano, this Artistico. It's one of the reasons that I want to ship the sets to people rather than letting people print the line drawing onto their own paper, because these techniques that I'm demonstrating, even just the blending, is going to be quite hard if you don't have good paper, and I've yet to find a paper that's even 50% as good as the Fabriano. So I really, really want everybody, no matter where you are in the world, to use the Fabriano Artistico soft press. Because if you want to learn to paint like me or similarly to me and use the techniques that I've either discovered or developed, then you pretty much will have to use the same paper. The paints, you can almost use any paints in the world. The brushes, you can use any brushes in the world that you like, but the paper is my only real non-negotiable. I say that in every watercolor workshop that I give. I say that the paper is really, really, really important to get it right. And for me, right is Fabriano Artistico soft press. You can get it mostly all over the world. It is made in Italy, but Fabriano is very well stocked internationally, so you should be able to get it somewhere very near to you for future paintings. All right, now we are going to take on these two leaves at the back. They are quite dark, so we're going to go in quite dark, and I'm going to time lapse it for you. Just have a look at where I lay the paint and where I spread it to. All right, now we're moving on to the next phase of our leaves. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a little bit of character to them. So on the edges, in select places, where the leaf curls, we're going to be adding a little border of our dark paint, nice and opaque, nice and thick, just a little bit, and we're going to be blending it into the leaf, but making sure that we don't blend all the paint away. We want to keep that little bit of dark there. And this is just going to create a little shadow and give the impression that the leaf is curling extra in those places. So I will add a little bit more paint here. Tiny bit. Remember, we're working with the very tip of our brush. We don't want to create an edge. We don't want to create a border. We want to create a shadow. So it's a fine line. It's not a fine line. Don't make it into a line. No, I'm joking. But it's a fine line between getting it to look like a shadow versus an edge. And I think what's important about that is a really good smooth blend, where the little area of dark paint actually stops on either side. So for example here, getting a nice smooth blend there. I sound like I'm talking about whiskey when I talk about a smooth blend. Okay, and then down this way. Okay, nice and smooth. We want a shadow, not a line. Okay, sometimes you can over fiddle with it, so you just leave it and you come back to it when it's a bit drier. Okay, so there we go. Automatically that gives the impression that those areas are curling a bit more. All right, let's see. Okay, over here. Kitty. Okay, hang on. Come, Kitty. Right. Kitty was successfully lifted onto his little sleeping place. He's now drinking my paint water. Okay, that's what you can hear in the background. It's Kitty. Excuse me. Okay, damp brush, and we blend. Okay, a very effective little technique to make leaves look a bit more realistic. Try not to make it too harsh, that line. Kitty, please. Sorry everyone. He's drinking away at my paint water. Kitty. At least it's not too dirty today. All right, sorry for the interruption. Okay, so these lines don't appear necessarily like this on my reference image. I, over the years, have learned that this is a good way to make leaves look a bit more realistic and curvy. So I mostly add them in where I want to. You can see I sort of add them in where the leaf dips in. So I think the trick when you add them in would just be to not make them look too obvious. To try and make them more subtle. This leaf has gone a bit flat now, so I will take out some of the paint just now and lift it and make it a bit lighter and have a few more highlights in it. Okay, we do want to darken here against where the Protea flower is for a bit of shadow, bit of drama. Technically, this is when you've put in most of the base layers of the paint, this is when you can really start to get creative and change things up a bit, and your painting starts to come to life. Up until now is what I was talking about earlier when I said that, sometimes you look at your painting and you think, that looks a bit like a kid's painting, when you're just doing the underpainting. So it's quite nice to sort of see, you know, you can really use technique when it gets to this point in your painting. And really, you can really refine it, and it starts to look like something professional as opposed to something that's not finished or that's not professional yet. Okay, there we go. Can you see the difference that these little bits of shadow make? Really, they make quite a big difference. Okay, we did say we're going to darken behind here a little bit. Nice crisp edge. I will clean up this little mess either at the end or shortly. Right, I'm going to carry on adding all these little shadows in. All right, we're going to start to add some of the leaf veins in, but certain areas of the leaves are not holding enough color for us to be able to lift it out and still be able to see the leaf veins. I'll actually try and give you a demonstration quickly to show you why in certain cases it doesn't work or doesn't work as well. So I'm actually just darkening this leaf just so that we get the full effect just now of the leaf veins. And this is a trick that it's so weird because I think I figured this out by accident, and it's by far the most impressive thing that you can show to people. Okay, so make sure your brush has a nice sharp tip. Okay, and it's damp. We want a damp brush. So I'm going to show you how to lift out a proper leaf vein, and then I'm going to show you somewhere where it doesn't work. Okay, so arrange your carlton roll so that you've got a clean section. I normally fold it back on itself or inside out or whatever. So you've got a nice clean brush. I've actually reached for a new brush because one of my Come Germany brushes is a little bit older and it doesn't have such a fine point anymore. So I've got a new size 4 here. And I'm going to use the very, very tip to clear out one of our first leaf veins. So you're going to make sure that your page is at a comfortable angle for you, because what you need to do is you need to, with your damp brush, not too wet. If it's too wet, your line is going to be blurry. Let's zoom in for you. Okay. You can see I still need to do some blending over here. We'll sort that out just now. So for example, this leaf here. So we would like our first leaf vein to come along at an angle like this and curl up like that, okay? So most of the time you won't see anything until you actually press your carlton roll to the paper. So probably you've just gone, wow! The reason I say that is because that is the reaction I get every single time I show people this. So it's such a cool technique, so useful. So wonderful, and I have never ever been able to achieve this on any other paper other than the Fabriano Artistico soft press, and it works so beautifully every single time. So back to the veins, the leaf veins, you want to really try and get a natural curve. Don't worry about the central vein here, all of this, because that, look there, that just wipes away basically, and we're still going to come and paint yellow in there. So don't worry about like overlapping into there for now. What we're worried about is, or what our concern is at the moment, is getting really natural curving veins. They start thicker at the base and they get thinner and lighter as they progress outwards to the edge of the leaf. Okay, so whilst, oh sorry, door banging in the wind. Whilst the leaf vein does tend to disappear as it gets towards the edge of the leaf. It's not a bad thing because it gives a beautiful sort of subtle leaf vein, okay? You've got to give quite a bit of thought to how the veins would be curving on the leaf. Sometimes you have to change direction a bit. You can also, say you mess it up, say they're all too thick and you're struggling, because it's a little bit of a technique to master. You can just get your other color brush and just paint all of these veins out again, okay? And then let it dry and then start again. So this shouldn't be stressful for you. It should really mostly be enjoyable, okay? So these veins, as you can see, the veins are really obvious where the paint is dark. Where the paint gets lighter, the veins sort of fade away. So that is quite useful in terms of the veins looking quite realistic, because that is how it looks when you look at a real leaf. You know, you can't necessarily see a white vein from the start to the tip. So I do think that gives quite a nice effect. But if you were to try and lift out leaf veins on this leaf, for example, over here, either they're going to be really, really subtle, or you're actually just not going to see them at all. So I do always encourage my students to go a little bit darker on the leaves so that the leaf veins do stick out. So I'm really working away at it now. I'm really working hard to get this leaf vein to show. So it will show. I mean, you can see that, but it's obviously less effective, and it's just really subtle. So especially at the base of the leaves, we really want to get to see those leaf veins. And then if they fade towards the top, it's not really an issue. But I do want to come in here and put a bit of darker color in there, kind of like this, so that these veins really stick out. Now, as you're looking at them now, these veins are quite out there, they're quite in your face. But we're going to do a yellow glaze over these leaves, and we're going to paint in the yellow sort of lime green vein in the middle here. So with the glaze, it's going to soften these a lot, and it's going to make them look more yellowy than white as they are now. But really, I cannot emphasize enough how this technique is pretty much unique to this Fabriano paper, because I just have not found another paper where I can lift it this well. So yeah, and cleaning, I mean, any kind of cleaning, just clean it away. So yes, I'm going to continue with some leaf veins. Where some areas are too light, I will be putting dark paint in. I'm going to blend this area here. So yes, enjoy watching, and please pop me any questions you have. Remember, your brush must be damp, not wet, and it's got to have a nice fine tip. And that's what we're going to be using to carefully lift out these leaf veins. And remember, you're working with the tip of your brush, just that tiny, the first micro nanomillimeter is what you're working with. You're not working with a flat brush that bends like this, okay? We're not working like that. We're working with the absolute tip of the brush. All right, so we are carrying on with our lines. This is labor intensive for sure. I often find that in my workshops, people do get a little bit frustrated at this point because it's really quite monotonous. I have done some paintings, like I did a painting of a rose study, and there were a lot of leaves, and I had painted them all. I'd got them all to the first phase where they were all, you know, the backgrounds were painted in. And I looked at them all and I thought, I cannot put veins on all of these leaves. But I did. You've just got to kind of put your audiobook in your ears, on your earphones, and you've got to just go for it. I mean, if you want to, obviously, but it's labor intensive, that is for sure, and it's very effective, but it takes a lot to actually see the effect. So, you know, and also once you've started, for example, like I've started now, I can't sort of say, okay, well, I'm only going to do a few and then I'm going to stop. You kind of have to, you have to follow through. So I am sorry if anyone is hating me at this point of the painting. I promise you it's worth it. I've never ever looked back at something and thought, oh, I put too much detail in. So that's literally never happened. So I promise you it is worth it. At this point, I would also like to say that if you have done my Bee Eater course, or if you've ever attended a workshop with me, or even if you've followed me on Instagram, you will know that one of the other tools that I use is an HB pencil. Oh dear, look here. Look at this. Good example of messing on your page, but being able to clean it because it is Fabriano 100% cotton. So I've messed green paint here. I suppose there it is. It's on my knuckle. So I've picked up wet green paint and I've now spread it on my page. Okay. So all you need to do is to wet your brush like I just did, load it up with water, and you're gonna come and scrub the areas where the paint was, and making sure you've got a clean section of carlton roll. Clean. You can't dab it with that because you'll transfer that back to the paper. You can you can take out any paint. You see that paint is gone. Okay, very cool. Good opportunity to be able to show you that to you. But yes, so if you know me and my work, you will probably know that I don't work in pencils, but I do use an HB. So I'm still going to glaze this, obviously we're still going to put the yellow over, but just to show you that sometimes what I do with leaf veins is I take a very sharp HB pencil and I actually refine the, sorry, excuse my thumb injury, actually refine the veins and give them sort of an edge sometimes, especially in the darker areas. And you could just see that those veins become a lot more fine, they get an edge to them, and the pencil line almost acts like a tiny little shadow. So yeah, where the veins have gone a little bit thicker than I would like them, I can just bring that back in with an HB, and the vein becomes thinner, more refined, and it gets itself a nice little shadow on the back of it, which as a vein would stand off a leaf, it would have a thin little shadow as well. So we'll refine this vein and we'll add in a shadow. See? So also, like I was saying just now, where your veins disappear onto the light part, you can then add that in with an HB, but I'm talking very, very thin, very fine lines. And as you can see, then those veins actually do stand out where they would have disappeared if you were just cleaning them off the page. So that is a nice little trick, nice little tool. Often clean things up at the end of my painting, often clean them up with an HB as well. It looks really dark as you're looking at it now on the screen, but if you look at it like that, it's pretty good. And the nice thing about it is, if you put in too much HB and you don't want it, you just come and rub it out. Okay, nice and light. Don't rub your watercolor away. That shouldn't happen, but yeah, you can take them out again as well. So that is quite a cool little tip. I would just like to take a second to show you what's happening over here. A very snoozy little kitty who is sitting with me while I complete this painting for you. Alright, even I'm getting terribly frustrated with the veins on the leaves, so if you are as well, do not despair. Happens to all of us. So let's take a break in those, and I want to actually fill in the yellow veins in the center of the leaves, because I think that will also just change how the painting looks a little bit. So I'm going to just take a bit of our yellow ochre and mix it with a bit of the green. We basically want a greeny yellow. Yellowy green, greeny yellow. This is kind of the color, this is kind of the color we're going for. Got a bit of our mixed green and we've got a bit of our yellow ochre. Going for a yellowy, too much yellow. Yellowy green, quite translucent at this stage. All right, And all we're going to do is we are going to fill in the lines, fill in these leaf veins that we have left open. These are the central leaf veins that I'm talking about. So as you're filling them in, what is quite cool is that you automatically can clean the edges and clean away the beginning of where you started the other leaf veins. So this one we'll just do, picking up a bit more color, making sure your paintbrush is not too loaded with watery color. We want it fairly dry, and we're just going to run our brush down the center, and that is automatically going to clean up the edges of this vein. Now I can see already that it's not yellow enough, but that's okay because we can come and add that in still. Okay, I might mix I've picked up a tiny bit of extra yellow ochre on my brush, and you can see here it's actually quite effective. It's quite yellow, so I'm going to dab a little bit of that out. Too yellow, don't stress about it. Mix in some extra green, and we bring that leaf vein back in, and now the color is perfect. Okay, so literally just filling it in for now. Because it's green, we know that we can come and lift some highlights out of these leaf veins later. So I just like the way that it almost cleans up any sketchy lines that you had. And even though we're not finished yet, here comes Luna. We've got a bit of thunder, so Luna is a little bit nervous. So if you hear panting and groaning, she just lay down with a groan. That's Luna a little bit scared of the storm that's coming. Okay. So yes, this is just cleaning up, and it's sort of stopping our leaf from looking really underdeveloped and making it look like a good, making them look like good leaves. We can extend the yellow out onto these leaf veins. I will probably be doing that just now anyway. Try and get rid of any sort of really clear barriers or little lines between the main leaf vein and the ones going off. Alright, already that's looking very well developed, as opposed to this looking quite underdeveloped. So this should be quite a satisfying step for you, and I thought it would be a good step to do now, seeing as we're in the middle of some quite frustrating lifting of leaf veins. If you want, you are welcome to add these leaf veins in with your white gouache. It will not have the same effect. I would definitely mix the white gouache with a little bit of yellowy green. Obviously you don't want to put flat white lines down onto your page, but so you are welcome to do that if you find this just absolutely too frustrating, the lifting. I understand you're going to need to exercise a lot of patience for it. It is worth it though, I think. But yes, so this is quite a satisfying step in the middle of quite a tedious step. All right. Carefully staying in your lines. Cleaning up. So satisfying to get rid of any dry edges and to make things sort of just blend together. It's almost a mini glaze. At the end, when we put the yellow glaze over the leaves, you're going to see that it sort of just almost melts everything together. I don't mind telling you that while I have been painting, the most epic fort house in the history of fort houses has been built in my bedroom. I went through to look at it now, and there were 3 very happy little boys and 1 shocked mom. It's a double-story fort house as well, so it's really quite something to behold. anyways, it's kept the boys really busy. So that's good. Who will clean it up though is anybody's guess. I don't think it's going to be them. All right, that one was quite yellow. No matter. It's good to have a bit of contrast and a bit of difference. I will add this in now already, just so we can get rid of all these white central leaf veins and get us feeling a little bit better about our painting. And buy us some more time before we have to go cleaning out veins again. There we go. Looking lovely. All right, the last of the leaf veins. So I hope you've stuck it out with me until now. You really don't have to do as many as I've done. You can just do a few token leaf veins. I mean, I'd like you to do all of them, but I totally understand if you don't manage to, or if you don't want to. So don't stress. Okay, my boy, don't stress about that. Just do what you have capacity for. I mean, it is quite therapeutic. So for me today, because I'm filming, I haven't been able to put my audiobook in. So normally I've got a good audiobook and I am able to just really put my brain in neutral and listen to my audiobook. So I think that because I'm filming and I'm talking, obviously I can't have an audiobook in. So potentially that's why it's felt a little bit longer for me today, these leaf veins. So yeah, normally I don't, normally it's not too much of an issue. I do love painting leaves. It's my favorite thing to paint. So I think it's just the absence of a gripping audiobook today. All right, just when you thought that your vein woes were over, we are going to get a little bit of green paint and we're going to paint in the veins on these two light underneath parts of the leaves. But luckily for you, it's not lifting, it is simply painting them in. Okay, I've just edited that a little bit, so it's still a bit wet. You can see the paint is spreading a bit. But basically what I want you to do is to curl some leaf veins in from the base in the direction of the tip of the leaf, and we're gonna just gently curl them in like this. These ones can curl up a little bit round to the top. Okay, that's the first ones, and then here we'll turn our page around so that I can do them like this, and we're going to curve these veins in. Quite a curvy curve because this leaf is quite curled up. There we go. Okay, very subtle, very easy to add in. When we do our glaze, then those are going to they're going to die down a little bit. They won't be quite so obvious. All right, so in order to start to get our Protea to look a little bit more finished, we are going to be painting in the stem now. So what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to mix a little bit of your burnt umber with your crimson red lake. Okay, so starting out with a bit of the crimson, mixing the burnt umber in. Obviously we want this primarily brown, but Proteas do have quite a reddish stem, so that's actually looking good already. Let's put a bit more brown in. So it's basically brown with a red tinge, a warm red tinge. Okay, that's looking good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add the tiniest little bit of deep green just to make it a bit darker. There we go. How lovely is that? Okay, all right. So now, when we paint anything round, in order for it to give the illusion of being round, it must have lighter, softer edges because they recede and they go away from us. These edges go away from us. The middle bit here is the bit that we will see as dark. Okay, so we're going to start at the base of the Protea, and we are going to lay down solid color. Oh, Kitty is about to climb up my leggings again now. My jeans. So we're going to lay solid color here. Obviously, this is quite a dark area because it's right underneath the head of the Protea. Okay, Kitty, come. There we go, onto his little bed. It's right underneath the head of the Protea. And, no, wait, Kitty. Drinking my paint water. And so there's shadow there. So it's kind of spreading all the way to the edges. There's thunder as well. There's a lot going on today, guys. A lot going on. So we are going to blend this. Yo, Kitty nearly knocked over my jar of water. Okay, so these little eyes around where the individual leaf stems attached to the... Honey, no. That's my mom's dog here to visit. She's scratching around. No, honey, no. Honey, no. So we're going to keep those open for now. So they are raised little sort of, almost like a little... No, Kitty, no. Goodness me, trying to paint with pets and kids. Hopefully for any of you that also have pets and kids, it will feel so realistic to you. You'll be like, and relatable. You can be like, I can relate. I'm painting my Protea and I've also got dogs doing strange things. Cats drinking paint water, cats needing to be lifted up or put down. Put down on the floor, not put down. My goodness. So, yes, so we're going to leave the little eyes around the base of the leaf stems where they're attached. We're going to leave those open for now. And we're painting carefully around them. And basically we are blending again, blending from that color that we laid down at the top. We will go and add some more back in again. We've taken too much out. So what I want to demonstrate, which is harder to demonstrate here, is that basically we're going to lay color down like this, kind of in the middle. In the middle of what is sort of a long tube. The stem could be seen as a long tube. And we want to keep the darker color in the middle, and we want to blend it out to light at the edges so that it gives the impression that the stem is rounded. Alright, so it's just a bit of really careful brushwork, blending, not disturbing the edges of your leaves. Okay, so you can see we've got a sort of line of color in the middle, and we're blending it out towards the edges, trying to keep those edges light, not dark. And don't stress if you do take color right up to the edge and it sort of looks all the same. Don't stress. A, we can add more color back in to the middle, deeper, darker color to the middle. And B, we can lift out at the edges, which I will almost certainly do because that is pretty much what's happened here. Okay, so adding darker color in, blending again. How do you guys like my tutorials? What are you thinking of them? Tell me down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me if they're easy to follow. Tell me if you're enjoying them. Tell me if you think that my style of painting is attainable and easy, or is it totally ridiculous and too detailed? What's everybody feeling? All right, so you can see quite nicely here that the center is a little bit darker and we've gone a bit lighter towards both of the edges. So it's harder to see at the top here and it's become a bit uniform. So I've got a clean damp brush and I'm going to wet the edges, give it a good scrub and press out some of that color. Look how beautifully that works. And it literally looks like light falling on the side of the stem. I'm gonna do it all the way to the top. We can always add color back in if we lighten it too much, but that is doing exactly what I wanted to do. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna leave that to dry before I go and mess with this color. Oh, oopsie, I did it by mistake. I touched it anyway. Yeah, I don't really want to blend this out again, but here we are. I'm joking. Okay. I'll probably come back and add a little bit of color at a later stage just to darken it underneath there a bit more. But as you can see, that stem is looking quite realistic. Protea stems are quite blotchy. I'm going to fill around each little eye now. I suppose it would be called an eye. But basically I'm just going to do just a light wash of the same color. Just fill it in like that for now. And then we'll revisit those a bit later if need be. I think that a lot of people, when they look at my work, they think, wow, that's so complicated. I wouldn't even know where to start. I wouldn't know what to do. But actually, if you break it down, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. It's just really time and a bit of experience. So, yeah, hopefully by this point you're feeling that it's something that you can actually do. It's something that's achievable. It's not some sort of wild technique that you have to be physically strong for, or something strange that not everyone is. I mean, I feel quite strongly that most people, if they sit down and apply themselves, could paint well. I think the difference comes in as to how much patience you have for this kind of thing and whether it's the kind of art you want to create. I think that most people who would be buying my courses would be wanting to paint in this style, so that makes me feel better. Because if someone didn't see the point in this and wanted to do abstract work where they, sort of literally threw paint at the canvas in order to get some sort of great effect, they would find this all pretty tedious. So hopefully most of the people who are doing my course, anyone watching this, sort of sees a value in this kind of painting. Okay, so I might dull those down a bit. I do think I want to do some sort of a glaze over the stem. I think I might want to come in a little bit darker in the middle, a bit of a stronger contrast, especially here in the shadow of this leaf. I think these eyelets are a little bit too obvious. They're a bit too standy outy. I might just dull them down a bit. But let's first add a bit more contrast to the middle of the stem. There's really a lot going on today. It's been quite a hard day actually to film for you guys. I hope you are having a good experience though of it. As in, I hope it's helpful and informative. Do let me know, please. All right. The other thing that we find on Protea stems is sort of knobbly nodules where previous leaves have fallen off and it's been a little wound and the stem has healed itself. So very lightly we can get some paint onto our brush and we can sort of make some they shouldn't be so uniform, they shouldn't be circles, they should be more like blemishes. Alright, so what we are going to do now is we are going to apply a little bit of darkness or darker green to the base of the stems where they attach. The base of the leaf stems where they attach to the stem of the Protea flower. I've stood back and looked at it now, and they look too light where they join in to the stem. So we're just putting a little bit of green and then blending it out to light again. They look a bit stuck on if we're not going to darken them a bit. Alright, now we're going to we're first going to add a bit of a yellow glaze to our our Protea stem, and you're going to see what a difference it makes. So a glaze is made up of a a glaze in this case is made up of a really light wash of yellow or ochre. So I'm using a bit of ochre here, a really light wash of it, and we are just going to basically very quickly and thoroughly wash that over the whole stem right up to the edges, and you can see immediately that it absolutely brings the painting alive. And so it adds a warmth and it adds depth, and I find that leaves tend to look dry. So for example, these leaves for me look dry now, but you'll see that once we add the yellow glaze to the leaves, you're going to experience there's Skeeto and Kitty are playing here. You're going to see that the leaves just come alive and they look like they're actually growing. So there we go. The stem has really improved quite a lot. I hope it's visible through the camera as well. So you can add a bit more. The only thing to do is to not overdo the glaze so that you end up losing a whole lot of detail. I do think I want to take out a bit of the color along the side here, just to create that vision, create the illusion of space, like I spoke about earlier, of depth, of an object being rounded. Alright, so we are going to glaze our leaves now. So I've mixed up the same watery mix of yellow, very watery. I've used the yellow ochre. And when we glaze, we don't want to destroy or get rid of any detail that we've already added in. So this is how a glaze works. You go over an area once. You cannot go over it more than once, otherwise you're going to get rid of all that detail. All right, you can see there, it already starts to disappear when you do more than one stroke over an area. So this glaze already just makes that green pop out. And you can see that leaf, in comparison to the rest of them, just looks completely alive now. So I think that a glaze is just so effective. So I'm going to go ahead and glaze the rest of these leaves, and I would like you guys to try it now as well. All right, now we are going to be adding in the very light greeny yellow bases of the, I think the little bits that we're putting in here are actually called the florets, or they're the actual flowers of the Protea. The bracts, these petals, actually hold in these little florets, I'm pretty sure. So I've mixed a lovely green. So we're using our new gamboge, which is the bright yellow, new gamboge, and I've used my central, the green mix that we've been working with the whole time. So we've made a Lumo green here. So what we're going to do is basically we're going to start by just putting in lots of lines. The lines curve and then go down. So they come up from the base, from a central base, and they curve. So we're going to start by putting in a whole lot. We're going to put them at intervals so that we get the shape of this head of the Protea, so we get it right. So let's get the shape right first. Put these lines in, and then we can come and fill in the others. We can put some dark ones and some light ones, but we want this long length coming up from the bottom, and we want it curving in. I'm painting definitely at a strange angle. It's quite something to film and paint at the same time and try and give your audience a good enough view of what you are doing. All right, so my time lapse didn't take because I got a phone call, but basically I have been applying streaks of paint and making quite a streaky combo here. So I'm trying not to make a dense wall of color. I've gone a little bit darker with my green now. You can see there's a darker green and a lighter green, and I'm just putting in the streaks to show. Oh, Kitty's gone and fallen out of his bed. I actually just have to show you this. Kitty, you all right? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. He's fallen right out. Kitty ma. You're so relaxed, so relaxed. So yeah, so I'm putting in the streaks to show all of these little florets that are bunched up together in the center of this Protea. Okay, we're going to add very light, almost gray to the top to show the white parts at the top of these. I think they're florets, to be honest. I will look it up because it's something that I need to know. All right, and then all of these ones around the edge, I'm actually going to clean some of them. And by clean, I mean I'm going to get my clean brush and I'm going to basically run my brush along the length of them and clean them out. Let's see, they're not too bad actually. Here's a good example. If I clean this, can get some of the color out, but basically they're also a very light green, so I'm actually going to go and paint that green in for all of them now. I see that here that's also quite dark green in there and in there, so I'm going to take my lime green, mix it with a little bit of the darker green, and we're going to actually fill these areas in here. They seem to be green as well. The base of the inside of the Protea flower, that's gone a bit yellow. Add some more green in. Okay, and then we're going to be painting all of these little florets green, but a very light green. So let's do one very light green. Even this is too dark, we're going to press and lift some of the color out. Okay, I think that the ends of them are actually white, so I think that we might end up bringing the white gouache in on the tips of these and making them go from green to white. This one that's been stained with pink at the tip is definitely going to need white. So that's what's nice about the white gouache. You've got it there, and if you need it, you can use it. There's another one in there. All right, we're going to leave that central part for a bit, and we are going to add in the tiny bits of green that we find at the base of the outside petals that are facing us. So we're going to apply the same sort of Lumo green. It's a very fresh green. It obviously is new growth here at the bottom of these bracts. And so we're going to apply it, and we're going to blend it upwards. We don't want to dirty or muddy the bract or the petal, so we just want to keep it quite low to the base and not spread it up too high. This is a very easy blending job. Guys, I am really sorry about my thumb. It's so sore, and I'm so sorry. I haven't been able to keep a plaster on it because I can't paint properly because the plaster doesn't allow me to bend my thumb. But yeah, I was helping the boys build something, and I just whacked my thumb and took a piece of skin off the top of it. So I'm really sorry that you've had to see it and paint with it today. I'm really sorry. Oof. Hope it hasn't been too bad. That's the unfortunate thing when you're an artist and you use your hands. Your hands have always got to look good. And I went through a phase of having Kitty as a tiny little kitten, and he just, you know, when they're in that phase where they just want to play and they end up just scratching you the whole time. My hands were full of scratches, but I always make sure my nails are nice, so whenever I do post a video that I've got nice nails. So alas, the sore thumb. Okay, so we're adding it to these bottom petals as well. You'll see it's turning more into a sort of brown at the bottom because those petals are darker, and there is actually burnt umber, the brown, in that mix at the bottom. This is lovely. The screen is popping now. That's great. Nice and fresh. Got to resist the temptation to put too much of it in when it starts looking nice. Okay, blend it back down. It's not all of them, but it actually does even extend up to here and here. Definitely gives a sense of fresh new growth and quite a fresh Protea flower. This one is obviously just opened. It hasn't been blooming for too long. Proteas obviously go over after a while and dry out, but not this one, not yet. All right, now on these bottom petals here, they have ended up being lighter than they should be, so we are going to glaze them. So we are doing a very translucent wash of our pink, red and burnt sienna. Now I really want to be careful with this. Kitty is drinking my paint water again, so it's making life hard. Okay, so this is the glaze. A bit of the crimson red, like Quinny rose, and a bit of the burnt umber, and we've got this. All right. Now, yeah, this I don't know why this glaze makes me a bit nervous. I don't want to get rid of all the light parts. I think it's because I'm glazing with kind of a red. Okay, there we go. It looks quite good. Okay, so you're going to apply it, and very quickly afterwards you're going to dab it off. Okay. Literally the time that you leave it, it starts staining from the moment you put it down. So work your way up from the base so that stays on for like a second longer. Okay, it's sort of these highlights, especially at the bottom, that we really want to get rid of, because otherwise it's just not going to look darker. Okay, come in with our glaze into these little folds here. Let it stain for a bit and then take it off. Okay, does that make sense? Does everybody follow? Okay, so you can see it's gradually, we're building up those layers, gradually getting darker at the bottom. So I think as well now, these sort of central veins have disappeared, so we're just going to pop them back in there. Quite lightly, quite quickly. Alright, that's already looking better. Now we're going to add the detail over the top, the detail that you can see. So we're going to add that over the top. Let's just give this a chance to dry a little bit. Okay, these petals here as well, these ones, these bracts that are facing us, also have, it gets a lot darker towards the top. So let's add that in now. All right, now we are going to tackle the top of the florets. So they're actually like a grey color. They're actually grey, but we are going for this color. We're going for sort of a pink, okay? We're going to add a tiny bit of green in, so we've got more of a grey, a pinky grey. And we are going to start by just putting in the little lines. I think that these are going to end up being penciled in to a large extent. So what we want to get right is we want to get right the fact that they actually start from a central point. And this is quite important to get right, because I feel like if you get this wrong, the Protea is going to look very fake. So we're just working in short strokes to longer strokes. They sort of almost become dots at the top because you're obviously just seeing the tops of them, the ends of them from the other side. We're going in super light so that we don't overdo it, and then we can't undo what we've done. So we're going in with a very soft pinky grey. Lots of little lines. Don't worry about them not being too definitive, because we are coming at the top of this Protea with an HB pencil just now, which means in a bit. Okay, working outwards. I think this is quite nice that it's a bit undefined, because this is really soft. I mean, if you've ever touched the top of a Protea, it's really very, very soft and fluffy. It's like velvet. Okay. All right, so we've got them mainly in, most of them. I like the fact that it fades a bit as it gets to the green part. So we're going to just add a few more bits in the top here. And you can see, because it's the second layer, it automatically goes darker. I haven't changed the color of my paint. I haven't added water or, anything like that. So all I'm doing is just double layering, and it's giving a lot more color. We actually just want to give the impression, I'm not an impressionist painter, But at the top here, we want to just give the impression of the soft, delicate top of the Protea. So I don't want to go and overwork it now. Can you see how light our wash of paint is? It's quite important that you don't go in guns blazing. All right, that's looking very pretty. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for now. We will come in with pencil just now. I think I also want to sort of dissolve some of these stronger ones that are curving because they're actually not lining up now that we've done the top part. So I'm sort of going to blend them away a bit. Blend these away because that's sort of coming down like this, not like that and that. Can you see what I mean? These ones are fine. The outside ones are fine. Right. It's like a little bit more light in here. So this is all dry, obviously, so I'm going to use my wet brush now and lift a bit out there. There we go. I wanted this white line down the side here, just to define the edge of the sort of main bulk of the buds. It sounds like Battle of the Bands. The bulk of the buds. There we go. Okay, so mostly what I'm going to be doing now is touching up. Okay, we are going to add these quite dark bits here. You're going to see me doing those now. Let's do the first one. We're going to use a combo of the brown. It really is a brown, but we're going to add some of our crimson red lake in so that it's not straight up brown. Let's put a pop of the quinacridone rose, make it a bit warmer. Okay, so that's kind of the color we're going for. It might go darker, but basically it's a really, really thin line. It starts from a hairline and it comes up to the top and thickens up. And thins out again. Okay, that's for pretty much all of these petals. I see that isn't quite dark enough, but at least we've gone in lighter and we can come and darken it. And I see that it does actually get blended. So we need to put it in there. We need to get our other brush and we need to do a bit of blending. Tiny bit of blending just to make sure that that's not a hard line. There we go, look at that. Satisfying. Okay. All right, I'm gonna carry on with those now. All right, I've loaded my brush up with my white gouache. Okay, I've wet the dot and I've loaded it up with nice thick white gouache. And there we have it. I think we're going to be leaving it there for today. Naturally, you can carry on adding some detail in or brightening areas that you think need brightening, but this is your completed King Protea Cynaroides. Don't forget to pop your signature onto it. And I hope you're very proud of what you've accomplished, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So do let me know, but I will see you in the next one.